It doesn't matter what year you are. I'm head of the associates. If I give you an assignment, you do it.
Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. Over the weekend, Page Six had posted this article about an extra chapter being included in the paperback edition of Harry's memoir. The article stated that an insider had gotten the scoop that Prince Harry is already planning to add at least one new chapter to the paperback version, out later this year or early next, when the hardcover sales have ended. The source then also added that readers are eager to know, meaning Harry and his wife Meghan Markle's feelings about the royal backlash they have suffered after the airing of their Netflix doc and the publication of Where. The article then goes on to say the publisher did not respond to a request for comment, and a rep for Harry huffily denied he'd be including any chapters in a future edition, telling us via email when we asked for comment, in quotes, "That's not true." Here's what's interesting about this. So, after this article was published, then subsequent media outlets that normally post for the Harkles then started to chime off of this story. So we had Cosmopolitan and then Marie Claire repeating the same verbiage. Under the days of Sunshine Sachs, what we would normally see is an idea such as this be floated out to these types of outlets, and then they get the take of what the public is thinking and decide how to move forward with whatever their brand is trying to do. And what we've seen recently is that now that this couple is no longer being represented by Sunshine Sachs, the puff pieces are now coming out of these non-traditional publications that come out of nowhere, like some of the leaks that were coming out of Spain. And now we have this where the New York Post, who's traditionally not so kind to the Harkles, publishing information from an insider. The key thing to notice in these articles that are now spreading out the idea there could be an extra chapter is stating that a rep for Harry, okay, a rep. It didn't say a rep for the Sussexes, a rep for Harry, huffily denied he'd be including any new chapters in a future edition, telling us via email when we asked for comment, that's not true. So this leads me to believe that this insider source to the New York Post might have been the doing of the stupid wife. And here is the reasoning behind it. Now, I have said on several occasions that I do not believe that Meghan and Harry are together under the same household and are operating lockstep as man and wife. I don't believe that for 1 second. It's clear that the two of them are operating separately. I mean, the most recent example, yesterday, I posted a video about Archwell giving their Digital Justice Award, and Meghan was nowhere to be in sight. Harry, on the other hand, has been public facing and Meghan is nowhere to be found. Coming up over the next couple days, Harry's going to be on Stephen Colbert, as well as doing some sort of grifting with mental health, and she's nowhere to be found there either. So by seeing this wording where it says a rep for Harry, that indicates that Harry is off doing his own thing. And I don't believe that he wants to add any more to this book. I think he wants to put this behind him because there's so many lies that are listed in here. He doesn't want to continue to keep opening up Pandora's box. However, I do believe that it was the wife that put this out there in order to get traction, to be able to tell her story once again and do what she did with Finding Freedom, the Netflix documentary, the Oprah interview, and then also to get in probably some things to help her court case, because all Meghan is doing is thinking about herself. The public does not want to hear more narratives being spun because they have lost credibility. I do think that the people that are representing Harry now understand if they add an additional chapter, it will only be subject to more ridicule because of the amount of times they have changed their narrative. So for them to now add an additional chapter to talk about how they felt during the Netflix documentary and the spare backlash will only subject them to more scrutiny and further ridicule. There were so many discrepancies between the spare book and the Netflix documentary. I think that that would be opening up something that they don't want to start. And today, as I was working on this video, my memory was jogged, and I don't think anyone caught this massive lie and put two and two together. Let's go back to that lawsuit where Meghan felt that she needed to fight for her right to privacy and sue A&L for publishing a letter that she wrote to her father. It's a well-known fact that Meghan lied in court papers in this case. However, she likes to spin it as forgetting that she collaborated with the authors of Finding Freedom, while although the UK court system excused her and gave her the benefit of the doubt, the US court system is not going to be so forgiving, especially if Samantha's case moves forward and Samantha provides the numerous examples of where Meghan has lied and contradicted herself. The more that the dumb prince and the stupid wife talk, the more they out themselves. Here's a classic example of how they messed up. In the dumb prince's book, Wah, also known as Spare, he writes at this chapter, and this is very important, this one section, I woke up to a text from Jason. Bad news. What is it now? The Mail on Sunday had printed the private letter Meg had written to her father, the letter that Granny and Pa urged her to write. February 2019. I was in bed. Meg was lying next to me, still asleep. I waited a bit, then broke the news to her softly. Your father's given your letter to the Mail. No. Meg, I don't know what to say. He's given them your letter. That moment for me was decisive. About Mr. Markle. But also about the press. There have been so many moments, but that for me was the one. I didn't want to hear any more talk of protocols, tradition, strategy. Enough, I thought. Enough. So it's very clear that they were in bed and that he got a text from Jason Knopf, and that's how they found out. And they're blaming Mr. Markle for giving this letter to the Mail. But that's not what Meg said. She doesn't blame her father for giving this letter to the Mail on Sunday. This is what she said in the Netflix mockumentary.
And I had gone to great lengths to get that letter to my dad discreetly, because I can't put this letter in the mail with the return address being Kensington Palace and send it to Tom Markle and assume it's gonna get there. So I send it to my business manager in LA.
And that would be Andrew Meyer.
And I was like, he'll recognize that name. In the mail with the return address being Kensington Palace and send it to Tom Markle.
So here's my question. If you notice this map that they put together, you would think that they would have shown Kensington Palace to Los Angeles, but no, it shows Toronto. So was Meg in Toronto when she was writing this letter? Yes, she was. Who was she with? Her best friend, Jessica Mulroney. It is confirmed because Scobie tweeted it out, as well as it is timestamped in this article. I can understand the extra precaution that she took to send to her business manager, but it doesn't make any sense that her return address would be Kensington Palace if she's mailing it from Toronto. I don't think that FedEx allows international, even though that Canada is international, it's still connected to the United States, in which a lot of times the US and Canada are included in one zone. So if she had to put a return address of Kensington Palace in London, she would not have been able to do so. Just by logic alone, you have a loophole then. If you were able to do that, then who's to say that, let's say you wanted to send a letter to the United Kingdom, you would go ahead and send it to some fugazi address where it can't be addressed, and then it automatically then gets returned to the return address in London to help you save money. I don't think FedEx is that stupid. Already this narrative is being destroyed, but then Meghan adds in this lie to contradict exactly what Harry wrote in his book, Wah.
And then I get the picture of the signature confirmation that it's been delivered, and it's not his signature. I know my dad's handwriting. That's not my dad's handwriting. It just says Thomas.
In other words, Meghan wants you to come to this conclusion that somebody intercepted and got a hold of the letter, and that's possibly how it got leaked to the media. The whole argument in this Netflix mockumentary was that the paper went ahead and did something so cruel by publishing a letter that neither party gave permission to. Meghan then continues to lie by telling the world that the Mail on Sunday proactively redacted lines out of this letter to paint a false narrative about her.
For the Daily Mail, it said, we have the full and complete 5-page letter. I was like, what would it look like if you redacted the stuff that they didn't put in? What would it look like? So you could really see, like, they're telling the public, here's this whole letter. And when you're literally taking sentences out of paragraphs and words out of sentences, you want to print my letter, which you know you can't do legally, but you want to print it and paint a completely different picture of who I am and my relationship with my dad.
It is pretty clear that she has put the blame solely on the Mail on Sunday for taking this letter without permission from her or her father and publishing only pieces to paint a certain narrative that they wanted to paint. So Meghan outright lies here because she doesn't think anybody remembers that Mr. Markle gave a witness statement for her court case in the UK and that anybody would remember what Mr. Markle said. Bullet number 13 of Thomas Markle's witness statement says, "The Mail on Sunday respected my wish to publish extracts from the letter as it was telling my story, and it was up to me to say which parts of the letter needed to be published for me to tell that story. I was therefore shown all of the extracts, and I approved publication of those extracts. I could have said no if they had wanted to publish parts of the letter which I didn't want published. The choice was mine. I didn't want the whole of the letter to be published. The reason for that was because I thought the letter as a whole made Meg look terrible. I do not want to attack or hurt her. I just wanted to defend myself by countering the impression given of me and of the letters between Meg and me by People article. And I didn't think it was necessary to publish the whole letter to do that, but it was necessary to publish the extracts that were published." So no, Meghan, you've just been caught in an outright lie. Your father was trying to conceal the fact that you are a lying little witch, but you exposed yourself for the person that you are, all by yourself. This is pretty clear. It's her words, right? We're hearing the story from her, and nowhere does she state that her father gave the letter or that her husband gently woke her up from a text that Jason Knopf sent stating that her father gave the letter to the Mail on Sunday. Nowhere. She is putting the blame on this newspaper and also making the audience come to the conclusion that somebody intercepted and got a hold of that letter.
And take out every single thing I said about how the media's manipulated you.
Sorority girl, actress, influencer, victim.
The brand of the wife needs to be updated. Pathological liar inserted.
People are still scratching their heads going, how would the Mail have either the stupidity or the whatever you want to call it, to print a letter between a daughter and a father?
And Harry apparently forgets his narrative from where by going along with Meghan's story. So I strongly doubt at this point Harry will be writing any more chapters for the book Where, because you know that they have told so many lies that anything but the truth is going to get ripped apart like what's happening here. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. And until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.